Alright, welcome to another episode of The Toy Chef with me, fxfranz, or Chefatron, for those of you still confused. Yes, fxfranz was my old channel, and now Chefatron is my current channel. I think I've explained this like 19 times right now, that Chefatron used to be my old review channel, but it went into limbo through that Google thing and all that. I still use it to watch videos, but video reviews are on this channel, Chefatron. And before we begin, want to make a before we begin to our main topic, I'm just gonna allay some fears that some of you may have that I'm trying to get out of collecting. I'm not. I love toys. I do like Star Wars, Marvel, and Transformers. I still do. It's just that this year I made a promise to myself that I would keep everything 100%. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just keep what I do love 100%. And if I don't like it 100%, 99.99% and below, they gotta go. They gotta go. Somebody else will appreciate it for 100%. If I see something on the shelf, it's not 100%, it's 99%. I like it 99%, I pass on it. That's just it, okay? I'm not doing anything drastic or anything that. Trying to keep the collection concise and keeping it 100%. Alright, more reviews coming up, definitely. For those of you asking, what am I going to review next? A lot of Marvel Legends coming up soon. I'm not interested in the Black Panther series. I do want the one with Gwenpool, the Spider-Man wave. I do want the Cable wave. Do want the X-Men wave. We'll see how it goes. But they're all coming out next year, 2018. Star Wars. Hopefully more of the Black Series will come around. And maybe more Last Jedi toys. We'll see. And Transformers, I'm hoping to get by the start of December. I'm hoping to get the Power of the Primes. Hopefully I can get it. Not locally. I doubt we'll get it locally. In the Philippines, every time December comes, we are always dead last with the new stuff because all of the major toy importers are busy trying to get rid of old stuff. So hopefully this December, we'll probably get it by end of December, the new stuff on retail. But good news is my wife is going on sort of like a trip. It's an all girls with her group. We're going on vacation to Hong Kong, and hopefully she can snag me a few Power of the Primes toys. So maybe, we'll see. If she doesn't, then she doesn't. If she does, then great, I'll get to review it. So hopefully that pans out great. Now on to our main topic. We're going to talk about the latest DC Cinematic Universe, or whatever they call it, movie, Justice League. And you know me, I'm like a big Marvel fan. But some of you may not know this, the very first comic book I picked up when I was a kid was a DC comic book. It was Batman, and I fell in love with the characters. I grew up watching the characters of the DC universe, the DC comic books, before I fell in love with Marvel. So don't get me wrong, I have tremendous love for DC. It's just that the way things have been going with the DC universe, in the cinematic universe, is not quite what a lot of us wanted. But okay, let's talk about Justice League. I saw it twice. Okay, I know, you Marvel people are probably saying, God, that's the biggest mistake you've ever done this year. Would have been, but as it turns out, it's actually one of the best things I've done this year, to watch the Justice League movie twice. I watched it first with my other daughter, Chloe, and then I watched it with the wife and Alex. And it's not bad. It is actually a pretty cool movie. I actually enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, Avengers is still the paramount. It is still the gold standard for team movies. But this Justice League movie was a great big step forward for the DC Cinematic Universe. And boy, it was amazing. Okay, I've never had so much fun watching a DC movie since Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, so far, by far, is the best thing DC's ever done in the modern era, right now. In the last couple years, that Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins, best DC movie, hands down. But this Justice League movie, easily a good second. Let's talk about the whole movie experience first. It's you get to see a shift in the way the DC universe, cinematic universe, is going. Probably one of the best things Warner Brothers has done is to sever ties with Zack Snyder. This movie had not a lot of that Snyder-ish, whatever, feel to it. It was not gloomy. It was not depressing. It was not morose. It was not brooding and all that. It was lively. It was fun. It was joyful. And at the end of the movie, you don't go out feeling, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Oh, you don't feel like, why did they do that? They had a great opportunity. You come out of the movie feeling, yes, yes, I am so glad to see the Super Friends or the Justice League in the movie theater. And I felt that. I really felt that, and that was great. And I think a lot of it has to do with Joss Whedon coming in, finishing the last 1/3 part of the movie, just post-production and all that. There is that Joss Whedon effect going on in this movie. You get to feel it the moment you watch the first couple scenes. And it was great. I'm telling you, Marvel's loss, Joss Whedon, is DC or Warner Brothers' gain. DC, Warner Brothers, sign that guy up for the next 10 films. You will have hits, I'm telling you. He's amazing. There is a little bit, some bits and pieces here and there. You get to see a lot of the Zack Snyder's influence on the film, but a lot of it had been undone. And I don't know. That's just me talking from a perspective of I love Marvel. I love what Joss Whedon has done, and I hated the past few DC movies except Wonder Woman. And then now this one comes, and I'm just trying. In that perspective, I was like, whoa, this movie is different. It's still DC, but it's not that old Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman film and type of movie. And I was like, whoa, this is something. Okay, so it's very exciting. That's how the feel I got with it. It was fun. Okay, talk about the story. The story is very, very simple. It's sort of what the Avengers did. There's a world-ending event that's gonna happen in the form of Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf was an ancient warlord that wanted to just take over the world, more something like Thanos or Galactus or whatever. But that's the basic idea. They have to stop Steppenwolf, and he has to get all these mother boxes that have been protected by the Atlanteans, the Amazons, and the humans. And you know, we've all seen that in the trailer, and it's great. Whatever you saw in the trailer will essentially just pan out in the movie. There's no big surprises or anything like that. There are a few Easter eggs that some DC fanatics are going to be happy about, but all in all, the whole story is what you get from the trailer, and it's great. It kept it very simple. There's a start, beginning, and there's a beginning, middle, and an end, or beginning, middle, and end, and it pans out wonderfully. The exposition of the bad guy, they form the league, and they kick the bad guys behind. And that's it. That's essentially, and it's the beginning of the Justice League, and that's essentially what the movie's all about. And they kept it simple. It was great. No drama here and there and all that and all granted. All right, I want to talk about specifics now. So if you have not seen the movie, I am about to give some spoilers here and there, and if it's all right with you, keep on watching. But if you want to see the film without any spoilers, go ahead and click one of my videos right now. Pause this video and just watch the movie first, and then come back to this video, or you can watch any of my other films on Chefatron, okay, or on fxfranz. fxfranz was my old channel, okay. So on to the details of the movie. The movie starts out with a couple of scenes: Wonder Woman and Batman. Wonder Woman's scene was, the first time I watched it, I missed that whole scene. I started with the Batman scene, or Batman trying to recruit Aquaman. And when I watched the second time film, I saw it, and you know, quite frankly, that initial Wonder Woman scene, well, it was badass. It was super, super kick-ass action. Gal Gadot, oh my god, I had like a movie nerdgasm with that scene. I loved it, but it wasn't necessary. I honestly believed I still got the entire movie, even if I missed that scene. I think that was just to satisfy some fanboys, and it wasn't really necessary to further the plot with Wonder Woman trying to stop a bomb that terrorist bank robbers trying to explode 4 blocks, trying to detonate a bomb to decimate 4 city blocks. The only connection I can think of with that scene was that Wonder Woman is in town, and she's in the modern world, and she's trying to be a superhero. She's not trying to be Superman. She's trying to be. She's not Batman either, but she's just trying to find her place as a superhero. She fights when she is needed, and to a certain extent, that theme plays out throughout the movie. That what Batman is trying to do is trying to bring out Diana, trying to make her the best she can ever be, trying to be the next Superman. And Diana is very reluctant to take that role, and that's the only connection I can find with that initial opening scene. Other than that, it's totally irrelevant. But super kick-ass, and I had a great time watching it. The second opening scene is with Batman. This is the more relevant one, and he's trying to lure a parademon. He suspected when Superman died, he suspected these things were somewhere in pockets here and there in Gotham, Metropolis and whatnot, and he's trying to find out what kind of creature this is. So he lures him, and he knows these things are attracted to fear. So he tries to stop a bank robber. Okay, he stops the bank robber, doesn't really send him to the cops, and he tries to make him afraid, so to draw out the parademon. And then he does, and he sees the parademon. And before he can interrogate or study it, it explodes and all that. And that, to me, is a very significant start to the movie, and it just sets out the whole tone of what the movie, what we can expect from the movie. And I was like, wow, Ben Affleck as the Batman. All right, we'll talk more about Batman and Wonder Woman later on. As the movie progresses, they start recruiting people. They get the Flash, they get Cyborg, they get Aquaman, and I was like, oh, okay, that's it's not quite a perfect recruitment. In terms of the movie being as like when you're watching it, oh man, why don't they just join or something? It's not as seamless as what maybe the Avengers did, but given the fact that DC started on the opposite direction, Marvel decided to just introduce the characters in separate movies and then climax it with them all joining together, which is a very, orthodox way of doing it. DC, I don't think it's a lot of critics are saying they're praising Marvel, bashing DC because DC is taking big risks. I don't think it's so much as a big risk to start off with a team and then branch out into the individual movies. I think DC didn't have time. I think DC was trying to catch up with Marvel, and so they wanted to do the Justice League first and all that. But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there is a way to do it properly. So what they did with this movie is they introduce you all with Batman versus Superman. They tried to introduce the three major players of the Justice League, and now introduce the other members and sort of find ways by the exposition of these characters, find ways where the individual movies of these characters can branch out from those aspects they've introduced in the Justice League movie. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a little bit harder, especially if you're trying to cater to an entire plethora of moviegoers. Because if you're just catering to the DC community, it's easy, because they're lettered. They know what's going on with each character, and and when you introduce all of them, they immediately know who they are, and it'll be an easy way for them to make new movies. But the good thing about the Justice League is that all, if not most, if not all of the characters are very popular. They got more popular ahead of the Marvel characters. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, I mean, everybody knew them, even if you don't read the comic books. You watch them through cartoons, through kiddie comic books and all that. So that's the good thing that DC has, which will allow them to do this unorthodox way of introducing those superhuman characters from the team and branching out into individual movies, instead of the usual Marvel way of building up the characters and then forming them into a team. Because let's face it, a lot of the Marvel characters are very obscure. It's not like Ant-Man. Not a lot of people know Ant-Man. But when you say Batman, every kid will know Batman or Superman. Spider-Man, sure. The X-Men, not so much. Captain America, sure, but it's that situation that's going on, and I totally understand where DC is coming from, and there's totally nothing wrong with that. So they introduce the characters, they recruit them, and then surprisingly they find a way to bring back Superman, because nobody ever actually dies in any superhero universe permanently. So okay, they bring back Superman. It's expected. I mean, in the last Batman vs Superman, you knew Superman was going to come back, so it's not a big surprise. So Superman comes back through the help of Batman and the rest of the Justice League, and the guys they beat Steppenwolf, and they successfully avert the destruction of the Earth and begin the initiatives of the Justice League. And that's the entire movie. Very simple, very concise plot. The script was okay at some points. There were some cheesy moments. Yeah, I mean, Marvel has a lot of cheesy moments, cheesy script writing. But if you want to be cheesy, you have to be really, really funny for it to work. And here, it was just cheesy. There are some dialogues that were just cheesy, and it made you sort of the audience a little bit uncomfortable. But it's like you would like, oh, okay, whatever, just move on to the next script. That's how it made me feel, some of the cheesy lines. But not all of it was cheesy. As with Thor Ragnarok, there are a lot of cheesy lines, I know, but they sort of worked. In Avengers, a lot of cheesy lines, but they were funny, and they worked, and they were done, executed wonderfully. So, let's say that this movie was a great step forward for DC, but they have a long ways to go in that natural comedy, action, comedy, suspense, drama, action, comedy type of movie that Marvel has been very accustomed to doing. Okay, let's talk about the characters. Starting off with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Big shoes to fill for Linda Carter. Gal Gadot has filled it amazingly well. I have nothing to say. She was just amazing. Wonder Woman. Aquaman in the movie summed it up nicely. You're amazing. You're gorgeous. You're amazing. And because he was sitting on the magic lasso. And I was like, there's nothing I could say, excuse me, wrong with the way Wonder Woman was, except for that first scene that I thought was relevant, but everything else was amazing, absolutely amazing. She was tasked with recruiting Cyborg, and there was sort of like a bond forming them. She was like sort of the mentor to Cyborg. I love it. I love that situation. Whereas Batman was trying to recruit Flash, and he was like sort of the mentor, and as well as Aquaman. And then Flash and Cyborg get a friendship and all that. But Wonder Woman, absolutely nothing. She was perfect. She was great. Not sorry if I'm being too biased with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, but I could not find anything wrong with her in the movie. Batman. This is the Batman Wonder Woman show. Let's face it. Batman was, contrary to what a lot of people think, I think he's the heart and soul of the team. He's the brains of the team. He might not have the best powers or best abilities and whatnot, but he is the brains, the heart, and soul of the team. That's me. That's how I think Batman is. And Ben Affleck did a wonderful job with this Batman. He's being portrayed as an aging Batman, maybe bordering on Batman Beyond already. And it's like he feels he's getting too old for this job, but he has to do it because it's the job, and he has to. And I love that he just soldiers on and he does it. But this is an aging Batman, and I did miss that. It's like Manny Pacquiao. When he was young, he was ferocious. He was intimidating. He was daunting. And now that he's aging, a lot of boxers think that he can beat him. That's how I felt about with this Batman. He doesn't have his edge anymore. He still has his intimidating factor to it and all that, but he's not the way he used to be. And it's understandable. This is an aging Batman, and Ben Affleck played it very, very well, very, very nicely, and I loved it. He was great. He wasn't moving as fast as he was, but he still got the moves. He was always lagging behind with the other Justice League, but he still had the brains. He still had the psychology to bring together the team. He got into everybody's minds, and he was just the team leader. He was the one that brought people together to become better than who they are right now. And he was pushing Diana. He was pushing Diana to be the leader because he didn't think Superman was coming back. When Superman came back, wow, sparks flew all over. They had some bad blood. They sorted it out, and it was great. At the end of the movie, they became friends, much like Iron Man and Captain America. It was great, but I have the feeling Ben Affleck as Batman is going to be the leader of the Justice League from now on, and it is great. I think that's a great move forward because the big guns could be doing all the heavy work. He could be doing the work here, and that would be amazing. And I think that's great. If Ben Affleck is thinking of doing another not a standalone, but a Batman movie in connection with this Justice League DC Universe film, he should do it as him narrating how it was back in the day. It should be a young Batman. I could see him doing it, maybe one film, but if it's going to be like a trilogy, it should be a very youthful, young Batman. Much like Batman and Beyond, that him advising the young Batman, or it could be him recounting his younger days as Batman, and they'd get another actor to play the young Batman. But him as an aging Batman is perfect for the DC Universe Justice League, and I love it. I love him as it is. There were some moments you get to see Batman, Bruce Wayne, trying to be just frustrated with the way things are going, and he's just the bad stuff. He's being arrogant. He's being how do I keep this PG? Being a rude person. Okay, being a rude person all throughout the movie because he just wants to get the job done, and great. And I like it. I like that. And I was just, you know, if at all, if I'm nitpicking and I'm gonna comment anything wrong with the way Batfleck did it, is I just missed that whole intimidating Batman feel to it. And when you see Batman, he's all over the place. But now we get to see that he's sort of in the sidelines fighting the parademons. He's sort of in the sidelines trying to figure out how to defeat Steppenwolf. And it's the rest of the Justice League, the younger ones, and Wonder Woman, who are really battling it out. And he's sort of like just there, standing in the center. And I was like, well, he has his moments. He saves Flash. He saves Wonder Woman in some ways here and there. But he's now the general. He's no longer on the front lines, which is fine because of what he is now as being portrayed as an aging Batman, and it's great. All for that. Okay, let's talk about Cyborg and Flash. Cyborg was recruited. I love the way he's being depicted as a very dramatic. He's got a lot of issues with him, and he needs to sort them out with his father and all that. I love that. And there's so much depth and dynamic to the character, and I think Ray Fisher did a wonderful job with the Cyborg character. And I like the fact that Wonder Woman is sort of his mentor, and that the way he came out in the film and the way he blossomed in the film was really amazing. I do like it, and I hope they keep him around because I love this character. I want to see more of it. The Flash. Okay, okay, let's talk about Flash. Flash. I was very skeptic. I was very bit skeptical on whether it was going to be successful, and a little bit on the fence with Flash. I thought Ezra Miller did a wonderful job portraying what he was told to do, but the Flash in this one, both my daughters enjoyed him. He was very funny. He was kooky. He was sort of the comic relief for the film. For me personally, I loved the Flash when he was not trying to be funny. When he was trying to be funny, he was just downright annoying. And, anyway. So, yeah. But other than that, when he was being Flash, he was amazing. And I love the fact that they talked about the Speed Force. The Speed Force is a modern concept. We never talk about it in the 80s, 70s, or 60s, or whatever. When back in the golden age, silver age of comic books, I had no idea there was a Speed Force. Maybe there was, but not delved into as much as in the 20th century or 21st century comic books. And I love the fact that they've introduced it very early on in this movie about the Speed Force. She said it in passing. There was not a lot of discussion to it, but at least it's out there. But for those who have no idea what the Speed Force is, I wish there was more backstory to it. And that's the problem with doing it the other way around. It's so hard to interject the backstories, okay? But that's fine. They tried their best, and it was okay. Talk about so again, Flash was great, not when he was trying to be funny. Okay, it's just annoying. Okay, he did say out of all his like hundreds of jokes that Flash had, there was one joke I actually just laughed, and it was in the end when he saved this family in Russia, in the northernmost Russian part where it was a desolate place, there was no internet or anything like that, but that's where Steppenwolf made his base. So he saves the family, and it's in Russian, and he has no idea how to speak Russian, and he wants to, and they thank him, and he says he didn't know anything, he didn't know any Russian, and the only thing that comes to his mind was Dostoevsky, and I thought that was so funny because it was so Filipino. It was such a Filipino type of humor, because we Filipinos, if we're trying to speak to another person in his language and we don't know any, like you meet an Italian person and you could always say ciao, you know, buongiorno or that, but most Filipinos would just say spaghetti, fettuccine. They'd say the thing that comes out their mind has nothing to do with greeting, and that's what Flash did. Dostoevsky, and I thought it was like, oh my god, that was so funny. That was the only thing I actually laughed about Flash. Okay, talking about Aquaman. Aquaman kicked some serious behind, and he was amazing. I thought Jason Momoa did a wonderful job as Aquaman. I thought that Aquaman character, being as it is, quite different from what we've seen in the comic books or cartoons or whatever before. And to me, Aquaman, I started picking up the Aquaman books in New 52, and I got so much respect for that character now. He's like the Hawkeye of the Avengers. He's like the most bland superhero on the team, right? And they changed it up with this movie. They turned him into a wrestler, a Viking god, or what? He's like the Thor of the movie. And I was like, okay. And you know, I wanted the Aquaman to be like in New 52, that he was very smooth, he was suave, he was like James Bond, he was regal, he was royalty, he was like that. But then again, had they done that here, he would have been very boring. And I totally agree with what Snyder and Joss Whedon did with the Aquaman character and made him like Thor, or just because probably he spent a lot of time in the Scandinavian areas. That's why he's sort of like a Viking, I suppose. So, but that decision to make him very crude, like a tool, and just a rocker, Viking god, whatever, I think it was for the best, and I think it made the film very, very interesting. And had they made him into that Aquaman, that Arthur Curry that I liked in New 52, it would have been like, oh, okay, he's trying to be Batman by night. So kudos to the team. So well and good. All right, talking about Steppenwolf. So Steppenwolf, I thought it was pretty badass. I mean, he was pretty good. He was such a bad character, such a he's an evil guy, and he's out there to conquer, much like Loki, Thanos, or the way I compare him to is like the Dark Elf Malekith. He's not Darkseid. He's not Galactus or whatever world-ending guy, but he's fierce. He was. I thought Syrian Hinds did a wonderful job with this character. I mean, a lot of DC fanboys are gonna hate it because it's like it lacked the flair, it lacked the pomp, circumstance, the grandeur of who Steppenwolf was. But for me, who's not really into Steppenwolf, I thought it was a good job. I think they played it very, very nicely. I thought it was very nice. He was such a badass character, but there was a way to beat him, and I thought that was great. And very, very nice. And lastly, Superman. Superman coming back, I was like, oh my god, he's back. I'm gonna hate this movie now. They were doing so much. Halfway through the film, they were doing great. Now you had to bring back Superman, the only character I hate in the DC Cinematic Universe. And then, oh my god, he comes out and he doesn't know who he is. They thought he was gonna be evil. Batman brings out the big guns, and I thought it was gonna be Kryptonite, but he brings out Lois Lane. And I was like, oh my god, are we gonna have another Martha moment here with Lois Lane? Oh, and then they just fly off together. And you know what? That whole scene, I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, please don't make this movie suck. It was already doing so well. And then they go to the farm, and it was a nice little tender scene with Lois and Clark, and they get back, and Clark finds out who he is. He meets his mother again, and all's well and good. And it was a great scene. I could not hate Lois Lane because I love Amy Adams. I was like, oh, come on, please don't make it cheesy. And it wasn't. It was a cheesy line here and there, like, oh, you smell good. Come on, why did Lois Lane have to say, oh, you smell good? But it's okay. That whole scene, great. I felt that it was redemption, and somehow the Justice League bringing back Superman. I thought they would bring up the what did I say? The rude person back, and they beat the crap out of that bad Superman and brought out the Superman we want. I mean, I didn't believe it. A lot of fans were saying, oh, this is going to be the new Superman. This is going to be the Superman we want. And I was like, yeah, really? Sure. All right. So I went in and I saw it, and it was nice. Truth, justice, Superman. He's smiling. He's happy. He's not brooding. He's like, oh, what do I have to be? What do I have to be? Am I going to be Superman, the savior of the world, or what? No, he's like, I'm going to be part of the Justice League, and I'm going to save the world, and that's it. And Bruce and I, we're going to work things out. We're going to be friends, and it was great. And finally, I have a little bit of love for this Snyder Superman. And hopefully it's going to be a Whedon Joss Whedon's Superman for future movies. Please, Marvel, please, Warner Brothers, DC, come on, put Whedon on the team. Make him the head honcho. You will have 10 hits, I guarantee it. Okay, and or more. So that's Superman. So it's great. He comes back when the Justice League is about to be pummeled by Steppenwolf. Superman steps in, saves the day, and all of them join forces to beat Steppenwolf, and it was amazing. Okay. And that's it. I just really enjoyed the film. There are 2 end post credit scenes. They're doing a Marvel. I can't believe it. So after the main credits, the scene that happens is Flash and Superman. Flash wanted to race Superman, and it was a very, very funny scene. I hope you stay around for it. And they raced to see who's the fastest, because in parts of the movie, Flash was moving so fast and Superman was like looking and moving with him, and he was like, Ezra Miller's expression as Flash, being surprised that Superman could watch him and see him, was like, it was priceless. So that first end credit scene was great. They were gonna race to the Pacific or whatever. Great. A little bit cheesy when that thing when he speeds in it, very comic bookish, but it's great for the movie. The last end credit scene, which is probably what the better one for me, was it's Lex Luthor. And I know a lot of the DC fanboys hated Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I loved him as Lex Luthor, and I am super glad he is back. He escaped from prison, and he is recruited Mr. Wilson. Okay, I'm not gonna try and say more, because that end credit scene, I hope you guys see it for what it is, because it is great. He's starting his own league of supervillains, or legion of supervillains, or whatever he calls it. But I'm guessing he's going to be the next threat in the next Superman, or the next Justice League movie, or the next Batman, whatever. And that would be great, because they brought together, they're going to start the heroes as a team. If they want to do individual movies about Lex Luthor, the Joker, Catwoman, whatever, they could easily kick it off as the Legion of Supervillains, or League of Supervillains that Lex Luthor forms. And that, I think, is another step. Great. Another step forward. Big, great, good steps forward for this DC cinematic universe, and it was great. Jesse Eisenberg is back as Lex Luthor, and I absolutely love it. So, with all that's been said, did I like the film? Yeah, sure. It's not an Avengers film. It's not super great. Like, oh my God, you have to watch it 10 times. But I did watch it twice, and I'm gonna give it, dare I say it, an 8 out of 10. Wonder Woman was a 10 out of 10 for me. Justice League is an 8 out of 10 for me. It is the highest ranking I've ever given a movie that had the Zack Snyder Superman in it, and I was very frustrated that they gave full credits to Zack Snyder for directing the whole film. They gave credit to Joss Whedon as one of the screenplay authors, which is fine. His name appears once as screenplay. Okay. But I had hoped that since he did like the latter third of the film, they would say directed by Zack Snyder, and another one goes directed by Joss Whedon. I don't think they do it. They do that kind of thing in Hollywood and all that films, but it would have been nice if somehow Joss Whedon was also credited with directing or cinematography or whatever, not just screenplay. But all's well that ends well, and I'm guessing Joss Whedon is going to be back, and maybe this time as a director for an upcoming film. Patty Jenkins, keep her on board. Oh my God, lots and lots of good stuff for the DC Cinematic Universe. I've never been very excited for the DC Cinematic Universe, and for all of you good guys who think I hate DC, I don't. Like I said, my first comic book I fell in love with was a DC comic book, and you know, it's just that Marvel beat them to the punch. Marvel had started it very nicely on their own, and they set the gold standard, but that doesn't mean DC has to come up with crappy films. Okay, they still have time, they can do it. I think had they had enough time, they had more time to work on this film, Joss Whedon would have reshot a lot of the other film, a lot of the scenes, and it would have been absolutely amazing. May have brought the film to a higher rating for me, in my opinion. But that's just it. So, with all that's been said, I hope you've enjoyed this little video or movie critique or commentary on the latest DC film, The Justice League. And until next time, thanks for watching.